Introducing Eagle Boy, a Pacific Northwest native tale. Along the rugged shoreline of the Pacific Northwest, a village stood on the cliffs overlooking the ocean. Eagles with snow-white heads and sleek, dark bodies swooped over the village. With their razor-sharp talons, they snatched silver fish from the water. The people of the village did not like the eagles, so they cried,
"Eagles steal our fish! Fly away, eagles, fly away!"
Yet, one boy, an orphan, loved watching the eagles dip and soar above the ocean waves. Whenever the boy returned from fishing, he always gave a share of his salmon to the eagles.
"Eat, eagles, eat!"
He yelled as he tossed the salmon into the air, but the village people did not like this, and they yelled at him.
"You should not feed the eagles. They steal our fish." "But the eagles are my friends." "You are strange. We will call you Eagle Boy from now on."
Eagle Boy was a good fisherman. In the summer months, when fish were plentiful, he offered his largest and finest fish to the chief's oldest daughter, Kishkwishy.
"Here, Quishquishy, take some fish." "I do not need your fish, Eagle Boy,"
mocked Quishquishy. One year, as autumn faded into winter, fish became scarce, and the whole village began to run short of food. One day, the chief announced,
"We must move our village. We must find more food. Let's get in our canoes and find a land with more food."
But Eagle Boy was too poor to own a canoe, so he watched as his canoes pushed off the shore. He called out to the chief,
"Is there any room for me?" "No, we have no more room for you. Let your friends, the eagles, feed you,"
laughed Quishquishy. Just before they paddled away, the chief's youngest daughter, Chakootabee, slipped the Eagle Boy a piece of dried fish so he would not be hungry. Eagle Boy was now alone in the village. He ate his small piece of fish and fell asleep to the sound of waves crashing against the shore. He dreamed of eagles soaring in the sunshine and swooping over large piles of fish. He even dreamed that he could fly. As the morning sun stretched its golden fingers across the beach, Eagle Boy awoke to the screeching of an eagle as it dropped a fat fish beside his fire. Eagle Boy shouted out to the eagles,
"Thank you, my friend. Thank you."
As he roasted and ate the fish, the next morning, two eagles dropped by his fire, and once again, the Eagle Boy shouted up to the eagles,
"Thank you. I will live to see another day."
The next day, the eagles continued to bring Eagle Boy fish. That evening, he gathered all the wood he could find, and he built an enormous bonfire on the beach. Dancing around the flames, he sang songs to honor the eagles. The next morning, the sky was full of eagles circling over a huge, dark object close to the shore. It was a whale. Eagle Boy slipped a long rope made of cedar bark around the whale and tied it to a rock.
"This whale could feed a whole village,"
cried Eagle Boy. The largest eagle landed beside Eagle Boy, and Eagle Boy tied strips of dried fish around the eagle's neck. He told the eagle,
"Take this to Chakootabee. I want to repay her kindness."
Gliding on the wind, the great eagle found the tribe huddled around a campfire on a distant beach. Hunting and fishing had not been good, and the shadow of hunger showed on the people's faces. The eagle landed beside Chakootabee as she dug hopefully for clams on the beach. She knew at once who had sent the food. She ate a couple of bites of the dried fish and then raced to her father crying,
"Look, a gift from Eagle Boy. The boy you left behind is rich with food, while we have nothing. Take us back, father. I will marry the boy and we will eat his food."
The chief shook his head in shame.
"We were wrong to leave the boy behind."
The people of the village agreed, expressing their selfishness and concern that the boy would not accept them back, and even if he did, that people would not make it back without food. Perched on a branch high above them, the great eagle listened to the people. Then, spreading his wings, it returned across the water. That night, the Eagle Boy stood before the great eagle, and looking into the intense eyes of the eagle, the boy could see a distant beach where his people sat weak with hunger. But Eagle Boy was angry at his people and shouted in anger,
"Let them go hungry, just as they left me to do."
The Eagle Boy stood staring into the fire and saw the people paddling away and leaving him there. He saw Quishquishy laughing at him, but he also remembered Chakotay slipping him food, and he saw the eagles bringing him fish and saving his life. In the morning, he had a change of heart and asked the eagle,
"How can I help my people?"
Then something incredible happened. The eagle spread its wings and lifted into the air. As it rose, one shiny black feather fell, floating down towards Eagle Boy. The boy reached out and caught the feather. As he did, a wave of power flowed through him, and in that moment, the boy took the form of an eagle. On the distant beach, the tribe sat weak with hunger. Suddenly, the sky was filled with screeching eagles. Eagles swooped, eagles soared, eagles flew over the people, dropping hundreds of silvery fish. Chakotay understood what was happening and cried.
"It's a sign from Eagle Boy."
The chief agreed.
"Yes, he has forgiven us. Now we can go home."
Eagle Boy stood alone on the beach, watching the canoes approach, with a single black feather hanging from his hair. The chief was the first to come ashore, and he said,
"You have saved our people. I offer my eldest daughter, Quishy, in marriage."
But the boy shook his head and said,
"I cannot accept. My heart belongs to Chakotay."
The people honored Eagle Boy and Chakotay with a wedding celebration and a great feast. From that day on, the people of the Pacific Northwest coast and the eagles lived and hunted in harmony. In time, Eagle Boy grew to be a great chief, and the eagle became the symbol of his people. The end.